control. He weaponized it. All of the 3553 factor point to at least 135 months. The defense accuses us of seeking 135 months so that the court splits the difference. We think probation's recommendation of 60 months does not account sufficiently for the harm to Cassie and Jane. Remember, they were asking for about 7 years, the probation department. What do you make of that, Alexis? I mean, look, this is the prosecution's point of view. It doesn't mean that the judge is necessarily going to accept 11 years, but they're saying, even though he was acquitted of the most serious charges that could have seen him spend 20 years to life in prison, racketeering and sex trafficking, even though he was acquitted of that, it can't be overshadowed what he was convicted of.
I agree with the prosecutor, and I think that the court is also agreeing with that based on what they have been saying, that we do have victims that were severely damaged in this case, and that asking for basically a walkaway. I mean, the defense is asking for time served, more or less. And I don't think that the judge is leaning, based on what you just read, towards that at all. The prosecution is correct. People were victimized in this case. There was testimony, and he was convicted related to that.
Tyler, the prosecutor says the defendant tries to argue this is just sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle. And by the way, when they say the defendant, they also mean the arguments that were put forward by his defense attorneys in filings leading up to the sentencing. But this is a case about transportation for prostitution and violence. The defendant admitted to the violence at trial. The defendant's respect for the law is lip service. That's a key component of this, which I wonder if the judge is going to consider here, that it's not just one isolated moment of transporting a sex worker across state lines to have a girlfriend have sex with that person, that it was the amount of times that this was done. And now, based on what the judge said earlier on, he may be considering the violent tendencies that Sean Combs engaged in as a characteristic, as a symptom of the transportation to engage in prostitution. Are you thinking right now that Sean Combs could get 5 years, 7 years, 11 years?
My prediction is 3 to 7. I think that the government asking for north of 11 is high. I mean, they have overcharged this entire case. I think the defense asking for 14 months is extremely low. And I think the probation recommendation for 7 is a little bit more of an independent view of it with using the sentencing guidelines. And I think the judge should somewhat split the baby. And I think the judge will give some weight to the acts of violence, but the judge can't overrule the jury who acquitted him on the most serious charges. So I don't think this will be a situation where the judge lays a heavy hand down with the violence for charges that Mr. Combs was acquitted of, but he's certainly not going to ignore it.
I told you that this was an unpredictable day. I didn't know this, what I'm about to read to you. So Prosecutor Slavic and Sierra, I didn't hear this, maybe you did, just said Mr. Combs has booked speaking engagements for Miami for next week. That is the height of hubris. He did this for 15 years. He was responsible for transporting many escorts. That's a lot of freak-offs and a lot of hotel nights. He knew it was illegal. I didn't know that, Sierra, because that would signify he thinks he's getting out, if that's true.